Hi, ladies. Welcome to another episode of the Femalepreneur Coach podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Barr, and I'm super excited to be sharing today's episode with you, all around how I essentially made more than my corporate salary in terms of money in the entire annual salary in the first 3 months of this year. And it was because I was doing a bit of reflection earlier and looking at my spreadsheets, which I always do. And I was like, wow, like it's really easy when you're in business and you make that switch from corporate to business owner to get a little bit disassociated and detached from the numbers and your success, because you're always looking forwards, right? And I thought, I was just looking over some things and thinking, wow, me, God, 8 or 9 years ago, even before that, would absolutely just die at the life that I have right now, the flexibility that I have, the freedom that I have. And I was like, this needs to be celebrated. It should be a podcast episode, because it's really important to remember the little milestones and the moments on your journey and not just be continually focusing on an end journey. And I remember particularly because my oldest daughter is 12 now, she's going to be 13 this year. And I was chatting with her about, because she still remembers before I used to work for myself. She still remembers when my mum used to look after her, when I used to be in corporate and traveling all the time and never really at home much. And then obviously her dad and I aren't together, so then we'd have to divide our weekends. And it was just a really sad time, I think, for me. And having gone through so many years of infertility. So I think I tried for like 7 years to get pregnant, and I was just on the verge of having IVF because I have lots of interesting nuances and quirks that meant that that journey was just not very likely to happen naturally. And I was just about to have IVF, and then I came back and from a holiday about to start, and I was pregnant. And it was just a beautiful miracle. I spoke about it more on the last episode of my podcast with Strategist. So obviously, if you want to know a little bit more about that journey, but the thing that happened was, because I just thought I had more time, because the doctors have been really good and intentional about managing my expectations, and things might take time. I'd actually moved jobs from one job to another that was going to pay me more money and, you know, ultimately lead to more opportunities, or so I thought. But the initial stage was a contract. So I hadn't been there long enough to have maternity leave, and I didn't, I was technically self-employed. So it was a really dark time, because I finally got everything that I wanted in having the baby and getting pregnant. But then I literally went back to work when she was 6 weeks old, because I had no choice. And she was born mid-November, and I was back by the first week of January. And I just remember being so heartbroken at how cruel everything was. And it wasn't like I just eased myself back in. I was straight away in. My first day was in Manchester. My next day was in London. And I was just like, how is this life? Like, I finally got everything I ever wanted, and now I don't see my baby, like 6 weeks old. And I think about it now, I think I get quite emotional, because I'm still actually breastfeeding my toddler. Well, I say she's toddler, she's 18 months. And I think part of that journey is because I just never got that with the others. I was always under so much pressure to hurry up and get back to work. Even with my son, who was like my third baby, unexpectedly, his dad and I separated while I was on maternity leave. So I ended up having to go back to work 3 months early, because I couldn't afford to stay off work. And I think I just remember back to that version of me that literally used to cry about how sad it was. You know, the one thing that I've known for sure in life is that I was always destined to be a mother in one way or another. And if it hadn't have been naturally, I would have, done IVF. And if that hadn't have worked, I would have adopted. Like, I've got so much love in my heart. And I'm also the person that seems to call others in. My brother lived with me from when he was like 15, 16 for most of his adult life as well, until he finally met his fiance, and I managed to like pile him off. But up until that point, he was with me. I've always got people staying with me. Like, mentoring, coaching was such a natural extension of my personality, that I was already doing it unofficially for girls at the university and all the thing. So I just wanted to take a moment to not only celebrate this milestone and the journey that I've been on, and the blessing that entrepreneurship gives me now, the freedom to be with my 5 kids, and probably to have such a large family, because I would not have been able to do that if I was still in corporate and having to pay childcare costs for 5 kids. Like, let's be honest, it's given me so many blessings. But also to share some value about that journey and why I believe that those 3 months were significant. Obviously, my intention is to continue to grow that this year. And, you know, because once you've done one thing and you've proven to yourself that it's possible, it's much easier to go back and do it again. And obviously that success has just continued. But those 3 months in particular, when I put them together, I realized that, wow, that was really exciting. That was like the first time that those 3 months collectively had added up to more than my corporate salary. So that's super exciting. That was my whole year with bonus, with traveling allowances, all the things. So the steps that I kind of went through, and the reason why I think that that was possible was because, first of all, I knew it was possible. So it's no coincidence that every time I invest more into mentors and masterminds, i.e. the people and the energy that I'm surrounding myself with, that my income always grows, because I'm a manifesting generator. I've got lots of open centers, and essentially when you have those open centers, you are very easy to absorb the energy of those around you. So therefore, like they say, your net worth is in your network. It's exactly that. If I'm around people that are doing really well in life, naturally my income is going to increase also, because I'm listening. I'm an active listener. I'm an active learner. I'm always that first person. I remove ego from every situation. I never sit there and think, oh, I'm not going to ask that question because I look silly, or I'm not going to speak to that person because they're more successful. I'm always the one that's like, I paid to be in this room. I'm going to make sure I get the value. Like, I want to know. And I always ask the questions, and have done, that others probably wouldn't, because of ego and that sense of separation, and that maybe somebody's better than them or anything like that. But I always think I've always been really curious, and I've always wanted to ask always wanted to know the why and the how. And I think that that's put me in really good stead, because then as a business owner, I've always got support around me to help me with all of the different ways to brainstorm and continue to evolve, adapt, all the things. So some observations for me, obviously, first of all, I knew it was possible. I worked on my mindset. It's no secret that a lot of my journey over my life, and why I feel so closely attached to the work that I do around money mindset, was because there have been many periods in my life where I've had a massive wealth, absolutely nothing, massive wealth, absolutely nothing. And I know that we create our own reality, the good, the bad, the ugly. Everything kind of starts from us and our belief system, and what we think we are worthy of receiving, and what we think is safe for us to keep hold of. And there were definitely periods of time where I've lost money and walked away from investments and all the things, where there was an element of me that didn't feel worthy, that didn't feel safe having that. So I obviously did the work, worked on my money mindset, made sure that I felt in alignment with what I was selling, made sure that I really felt worthy of receiving it. I also became fiercely visible, so I committed to that this year. I think business has different seasons, and I've definitely, you know, as the babies got older, have been, you know, there was a great period of healing when I was pregnant and when she was first here, due to other things outside of business. Then it was kind of finding my feet, getting back into a rhythm, finding my voice, finding my confidence, finding myself back to my sense of self. And then the beginning of this year, I was like, let's go, bitch. Like, now it's our time to really get visible, get out there, start doing the damn thing our own way. Rather than being influenced or swayed by other people that were telling me that what I was wanting to do was wrong and all the things. So I think that that was part of it as well. I committed to getting fiercely visible, and really standing in the conviction of the work that I was doing. And I'm an embodiment of that work. You know, when I teach people how to grow businesses in a sustainable way, in line with their human design, it's because I've done it first, and I'm continually doing it daily. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I'm not a business coach that did a certification, you know, years ago or even months ago, and I'm just going to keep regurgitating the same old crap. That no longer works, that is dated, that no longer resonates or converts. I am somebody who is in love with the business of business. So I am always up leveling, always investing, whether that's in courses, programs, or actual like networking of rooms, so that I can get access to those big players in the industries, so that I can continue to up level and evolve and pivot and expand as the industry does. so that I can pull that into my clients, because equally I've got other business interests. So it makes sense that I learn how to roll with the punches, keep things moving, move with the tides and the economy and all the things. So I think that's something that I've always been very good at, is continuing to invest in myself. And the more that you put energy into something, it's like the compound effect, and energy flows where focus goes. So I really went all in, made that commitment to get fiercely visible, to commit to mastery, finding my own voice, refining my offers, really distilling those down into, these are my signature offers. I worked in my offer suite. But equally, as a manifesting generator, I need that creative freedom and that flexibility. I like variety. If I was just selling one offer, one program all of the time, I think the energy would dissipate for me. I like to have the buzz of different things going on. I always will. As I mentioned, I'm sorry, ladies, I'm an entrepreneur at heart. So I need to have lots of fingers, lots of pies, lots of energy, lots of different things. So that is reflective in the revenue streams of my business. So I've never relied on one source of traffic, never relied on one source of income, never relied on one source of revenue. So if you look at my spreadsheets, last year I had 27 income streams. This year it will absolutely be more. So I think that's many eggs, many baskets was something I realized in business very early on. And one of the things that I teach the women inside my 7-figure sisterhood mastermind is about that approach. It's about mitigating your risk by having lots of different income streams. It's about educating yourself on wealth building strategies. It's about putting yourself in the right room with the people that are making money, even when everybody else tells you that nobody's buying. So I think that massively paid off. I also created longer term containers. That definitely helped with increasing my monthly reoccurring revenue, so that I wasn't then starting every month from scratch. So that looks like extended payment plans. That looks like like my one-to-ones have now moved to from 6 months to 12 months. So because I truly believe in myself, that what I was doing was creating these incredible foundations for my business, and then for people's businesses, and then they were kind of pissing off. And it was like, oh, okay, bye then. And it's like, okay, there's that element where it's like, actually, I think 12 months we could have done really incredible things, and then it works for both of us. But also, it takes time. Long-term transformation takes time. And I didn't like working under the pressure of 6 weeks, 3 months, and having to get these results that then weren't sustainable for the women. It's like, as soon as they then dropped off, it's like I was a crutch for their business. So I really switched my mindset around longer term containers and having that beautiful opportunity to really get to know somebody at an intimate level. And what happened was I reduced my one-to-one clients, but actually increased the value that they were receiving. So I also then attracted more hell yes pay in full women. So I had like a couple of pay in full clients over that process, over that time, which was really, really good. And it's great to have those cash injections. But for me, it's more about the monthly recurring revenue and not starting every month from zero. So those were kind of the main things that I can see that I really did at the beginning of the year that was maybe different to the year before, that has now set me up for this incredible trajectory. Because money loves money, and the more money that you have coming in, the more money that you will continue to generate, because you feel safer around money when you know that you've got your basic needs met. The more that you can then take that money and invest it into other things, and that's obviously what I'm going to be doing this year, and I've always been continuing to do at some level. So that felt really, really good. So that's what I would say are the main things that a lot of coaches aren't necessarily telling you, that very much complement my zone of genius and my human design, and that actually then set me up a really great foundation for that first 3 months of the year. So it's about doing the mindset work, surrounding myself with people that it's possible, so that I had evidence that it was possible for me. It was committing to being fiercely visible and really having conviction in what I was selling, becoming obsessed with the work that I did, giving myself creative freedom to add different elements and offers and all the things and variety around that. And then obviously focusing on my monthly recurring revenue and increasing my containers. That's given my business a lot more, not only my business a lot more stability, but my communities a lot more stability. So like the academy, my seven-figure sisterhood mastermind, like the women in there know each other. They know each other's kids, they know each other's businesses, they can go out therefore and be each other's ambassadors and champions, and send referrals and network and collaborate, and all of the incredible things that I wanted to create in that container, because they know each other, because they've been knowing each other for quite a while, and because there is that genuine aspect of community, which really just makes my heart so bloody happy. So those are the things that I would say that you would definitely need in order to create those high cash months, in those multi 5-figure months, so that you can really start to create some of that freedom. That is why we're doing this anyway. If you have any questions, let me know. But otherwise, I hope that you've enjoyed that episode. And obviously, if you are looking for a new home right now, the 7-figure sisterhood is absolutely next level. Like, genuinely, this is such a beautiful space where I see the women collaborating, they are championing each other's stuff, they're sharing each other's stuff. Like, that is not something that I have experienced in many masterminds where, and I think that comes down to my active facilitation of those collaborations and being that leader that sets the tone. So I would absolutely love to have you here in our community. I will pop the details in the show notes, but absolutely let me know what your key takeaways are, and don't forget to subscribe if you love this podcast.